What if a restaurant experience could provide you not only with entertainment, but also with sustainability and authenticity? Hi, my name is Kaylee Johnson, and today I'm going to be presenting to you the concept of the Flora Cafe and Eatery. The Flora Restaurant and Eatery is designed around three core concepts: sustainability, authenticity, and entertainment. I'm going to go over each of these three concepts and how they fit into the restaurant's value and uniqueness. The sustainability core concept is based around three main ideas, and that is the gardening, the landscaping, and the sourcing. And a lot of the ideas that are going to be in the sustainability section are going to be pulled from the sustainability panel that we had in class and the ideas that we had discussed there. During the sustainability section of the class, we watched a video about gardening on site at different restaurants around the nation, and some of the panelists that had spoken at the sustainability panel had also talked about that at their own personal restaurants. So my idea for my restaurant is to have a garden on the roof and surrounding land in order to source fresh produce that would be used in the restaurant. And the food would go from the garden to the plate as it's ordered, and a variety of seasonal produce would be cycled throughout the year. One of the most exciting things that I was thinking about while I was designing this restaurant was the landscaping, because as an environmental science major, I'm really into using natural environment and like pulling that into the landscaping rather than bringing in non-native plants and non-native species. We would stick with all of the native trees, all of the native grasses and things that are in the area, and really just let them flourish in the landscaping that's surrounding the restaurant. No herbicides or pesticides would ever be used, and for the most part, there would be outdoor seating, maybe a few that would be indoors, but very, very few. And it would be built with a flow that would go right into the natural landscape with as little disruption as possible. Maybe there would be fans and like a couple of things to block out the sun, but other than that, it would just be really open. And there would also be a garden area and open areas and a yard for people to walk around and gather, play, and just generally engage in recreation. The last part of sustainability would be sourcing. Obviously, that everything that we would be using in the restaurant really couldn't be sourced in the restaurant's garden. So anything that we couldn't really get from the garden itself, such as like meats or I don't know, like flour, stuff like that, stuff that we would have to bring in from outdoors or outside sources, we would just preferably pull from local vendors, nothing outside of the 100-mile radius. And it'd only be from responsible farms and factories that would do their part environmentally, ethically, and socially. The next core concept that I'm going to discuss is authenticity. So this is another really exciting part of my restaurant that I've been thinking about, and it's that I'm going to have 3 to 5 chefs from different backgrounds brought in a cycle of every 1 to 3 months to showcase their own unique food in a station-style presentation. And guests will be able to browse through these different stations and would be encouraged to chat with the chefs and the staff there to figure out how the chef's own personal history ties into their food and why they make what they do. So you may have noticed that authenticity has been placed inside of quotation marks whenever I've shown it in this presentation, and that is because it is determined by the chef. So when we went over authenticity in class, specifically in the Eating Authenticity article, authenticity is really considered something that is different for each and every person. So a Japanese American fusion dish may be considered authentic to someone who is a first-generation American and has Japanese parents, even if it may not really be considered authentic to someone who's actually from Japan. But the authenticity of the food is really derived from the chef's personal history and background, and this is really why it's encouraged that the chef and the guests are engaging in discussion as the guests are going through and trying the different foods, so that the guests can really understand why that dish is authentic in the eyes of the chef and what really makes it special to the chef themselves. So each chef's biography will be included at their stations along with their menu. And that's just another way, like in case the chef isn't able to chat with the guests, that they'll be able to kind of understand like where the food is coming from and why the chef chose to make what they make. The next and final core concept that I'm going to be going over is entertainment. And actually, entertainment is going to be broken down into 2 different types, and that's going to be the chefs themselves and outdoor activities. And for the chefs themselves, it's really just going to be the entertainment of watching them as they prepare their food and watching the different techniques that they use. And that's kind of drawing from the idea from watching what we eat in the entertainment section of our class. And that is the idea of edutainment. And that's where guests are not only being entertained while they're getting their food, but they're also learning about the food itself and how it's prepared and the history of it. Not only through watching the chef prepare it, but also through chatting with them and figuring out where this food came from and why it's being made. So it's going to be really introducing new techniques, cultures, histories, and food types to the guests so that they can really get a feel for the chef and like where they're from and their own personal background. The next part of entertainment that I'm going to discuss is the outdoor entertainment. Like I had discussed before, the restaurant would be really open to the natural environment that's surrounding it. There's going to be a lot of open outdoor spaces and trails even maybe, and guests could really just engage in different types of outdoor activities and games during, before, or after they eat. And some ideas that I had come up with could include live outdoor music, a hike of the grounds that could take you through different wine and produce tastings from the gardens on the ground, and a children's garden where kids can learn about gardening and the natural ecosystems of the area. So that was just something that would kind of give something, a little bit of something for everybody. People that just want to hang out and chat maybe could just go and hang out in the live music area and just eat their food and talk and not really be disrupted. People that are feeling a little bit more adventurous and outdoorsy could take the wine tasting hike and go see the grounds and get a tour of the entire garden area and the natural areas that are surrounding the restaurant. And then lastly, of course, you want to be family friendly to some extent as well, I think. And that would be where the kids garden would come in, to where parents could really help their children to engage with the environment and the natural areas that are surrounding the restaurant. The next thing that I wanted to discuss outside of just like the three main concepts of the restaurant was the restaurant's menu. So rather than just like a menu that's listing the food items that are available in the restaurant, it would be a list of experiences that the guests could pick from. So it ranged from basic to all-inclusive, and the guests could choose what they want to do as a part of their experience in the restaurant and just pay according to that, rather than paying a large fee to not really use all of the restaurant's features. So for example, you have option 1 where you get food and drink from all 6 stations and access to the garden and outdoors entertainment and common spaces. This would really be like the most basic option if you didn't really want access to the entire restaurant itself. So the next option would be to get food and drink from 3 stations and access to the garden and everything else that you would have gotten in option 1. But instead you also get the wine tasting and garden hike. Option 3 would be like the same thing as option 1, except you get access to the children's garden activities and only 3 stations of food and drink. And then option 4 would be like the all-inclusive option, where you get access to all 6 stations, the children's garden, and the wine tasting and garden hike. And then of course I would have like a little option where they could add on food and drink from an extra station if they wanted to. Like if, I don't know, they wanted to pick option 2, but they also wanted to get food and drink from a 4th station, or even a 5th station if they really wanted. And I hadn't really decided on pricing for these. I would obviously want it to be something that's affordable, but like something that where you could at least make some kind of profit so you can still stay open. But basically the way that it would work is, as guests pick their options, they would be given vouchers to get a tasting from each station, and they would just give that to the chef, and the chef would give them whatever plate they had. And that's another thing. Each station and chef is going to have their own personal menu, like what's shown on the right. It's a little bit smaller and harder to see there. I'm not sure if I can find a way to zoom there. I guess not. But basically it would include a photo of the chef and their little biography and name, of course. And then it would list the items that they have and like what all is inside of the different items and why they picked that item. Like I would want each chef to kind of give like a little description of like why they chose that item to include in their tasting menu. And then it would work the same way for the wine tasting hike and the children's garden. They would just be given vouchers to give to an attendant there. One of the last things that I wanted to talk about was the target audience. That was something that was included in the rubric that I found really difficult for me to decide, I guess. And really, I would want the restaurant to be as inclusive as possible. People from all backgrounds would be welcome. That's why I kind of created a way to create a little bit of something for everything, from like the live entertainment to the hike to the children's garden. People of all ages are going to be welcome, all abilities. You don't have to attend the hike if you're not able to or if you're not wanting to. And really, I just wanted to be accessible to everyone. And since the chefs are always cycling, at any point the type of food could appeal to any number or groups of people. And honestly, like, even if it doesn't necessarily traditionally appeal to that person, like, the whole idea of the restaurant is to try something new and to experience a new culture and learn about where these different foods are coming from and what they mean to the chefs. And this is just my citations here, and this is just really going to be the conclusion of this presentation. I wanted to add a little note here to really thank the professors of this class for everything that they've done for us. This has definitely not been an easy semester, I don't think, for anybody. And we really do appreciate you guys being there for us. And I mean, sending us food and sending us the popcorn, like, that was a really, really sweet thing. I just got that today. You guys have really made this class an awesome experience, even with everything that's been going on. And I really appreciate you guys. And I just wanted to add another note that I'm going to be in Tara's class next semester in her Women in Development or Women in Leadership class. So I'm really excited for that, and I'll see you guys next semester. Thank you.